Hello, YouTubers. My name is Mark, and I've been inspired, really, to share some of my thoughts regarding MS. Yes, I have multiple sclerosis, and I've been inspired by Irish Bear, Mark, and Angela, and others to just share some of my thoughts and how MS affects me and my experiences are. And if you've been a long time MSer and you've been um, looking at YouTube a lot and reading some of the great stories and information that I've been reading and been watching on YouTube and other places like Facebook. You may not be too interested in this particular video, but if you're new um, or you've just recently found that you have multiple sclerosis, or you've been diagnosed recently, I would hope and pray that this would be an encouragement in some way to you, just by sharing, what's happened in my life, and there's this community that nobody in their right mind would want to be a part of, that we are a part of if you suffer from MS, and we can help one another, and just sharing, what's going on and what's on our hearts regarding this disease. So what I want to do is to break down very as concisely as I can, um, break down how I found out that I had MS and what my symptoms were and are, and how I respond to it, what I did, what we did, really. Anybody that's married or has family that love them, that's a sufferer of MS, it's never really an I, it's a we. In a lot of ways, our disease affects others, doesn't it? Anyway, I found out it was right around 1998 is when I was diagnosed with MS. It was about 1996 when I had my first symptoms regarding MS. When I found out that there was something wrong with me, I was driving in my car, and we were on a country road, and I noticed as I looked in my peripheral vision that I was seeing two of everything instead of the one that should have been there. And what had happened was the nerves that control the eye that follows the lead eye. We all have a lead eye and another eye that follows our lead eye, and that nerve was not allowing the muscle to make the following eye follow correctly, and that resulted in the brain trying to force it to do that. And I had what was called diplopia. I saw two of everything. Started in my peripheral, ended up being everything, in front of me. And it wasn't just two of things. Oftentimes I had multiple vision. I'd see three or four of things. I could be sitting down and looking at a light on the ceiling, and it would just start moving across the ceiling by itself. It was very it was frightening and weird, and it was difficult to try to come to grips with. I saw a neurologist that was also an ophthalmologist. So she was an ophthalmologist, and she videotaped my eyes and showed me what was going on. She said that I either have a brain tumor, or I had a stroke, or I have MS. She said the first two, with my health condition being what it was, my age and everything, so it was very unlikely. The MS part, she said, was very likely. And I was not making very much money, and I didn't have any insurance. And the $1,600 for the MRI was really out of the question. So I just couldn't do it at that point. And it wasn't until about a year and a half later that I had the MRI and the diagnosis was made. So initially I had this diplopia thing and this multiple vision. I had to wear an eye patch so that I could, see my world correctly. And I had my neurologist told me that it may and probably would clear up considerably. She said, we don't know how much, it's just there's no way of knowing until down the road, till time. and you find out, how much is going to go back to normal when the inflammation is down. So it went, I'd say about 85% back, maybe 90, to where I don't have diplopia. I have to look, really far into my peripheral vision. Almost never experience it now unless I'm very fatigued. That I'm a lot more tired than normal. I'm pushing myself too hard. Sometimes I'll experience diplopia straight ahead, but very rarely. And I thank God for that. It was about 18 months later that I had lost the vision in my right eye, and I learned a lot about blindness in that. I always thought that blindness was when everything was black. Everything went a very hazy, gray, milky gray, and I couldn't see anything through my right eye. And it was weeks later, as gradually it started to come back, and I can see, pretty well out of my right eye, and I very seldom have real problems. But sometimes I notice that I'm having more trouble seeing than normal, and and that happens. And then it was so that happened 18 months about after my first exasperation. Then about 11 months after that, I started having these weird sensations in my feet, and this one was really hard to describe. And this is one that never went away as much. I always deal with this kind of tingling, sometimes buzzing, sometimes almost painful feeling in my feet, mostly on my right side, and it'll go up my legs and so forth, and I'm just kind of dealing with that. So I've had these three different areas of exasperations, and I in the meantime, career change had occurred and everything, and I ended up working at a hospital, and that's how I was covered and had I was able to just take a break from work and go get an MRI, and it worked out really well. I believe I was being looked out and watched over in all of this, and but it was very stunning, and as you know, it was a heavy impact on our family. So that's the first part of what I wanted to talk about was what had happened and where I'm coming from, and how I learned that I had MS. And we're going to go from there and discuss what we did, how it impacted us, and what we did. So I'm gonna pause this for a moment and pick it up after I get a drink.